ठीक है।
हैं कुछ लोग तो हैं।
चला अपन लाइव।
लाइव।
हो लाइव। वो उधर 20 सेकंड का डिले होता है, आएगा।
हाँ वो पर वी शुड बी श्योर नो। नमस्कार नमस्कार गांव वालों। धन्यवाद जुड़ने के लिए एक और सत्संग में। हैं लोग हैं, श्वेता दिख रही हैं चैट में, अंकुर दिख रहे हैं, नील पंचाल नमस्ते नमस्ते। अ, शुभस्मित गुप्ता क्या नाम है। Ane is here, so the frequent flyers are here. We'll wait for some more people to join in, but thank you. हमारा स्ट्रीक बरकरार है। एक बार फिर हम आगे हैं मिड वीक में इलेक्शन सत्संग के लिए। वैसे तो सत्संग ही है, पर ये देश में इलेक्शन हो तो फिर हर बात उससे रंग ही जाती है। तो वी गॉट अ स्पेशल गेस्ट फॉर यू टुडे। Before we get into that, just want to say hello and thank you to everybody who joined in. Do like the stream so that it reaches more people. We've taken out time from our guests' schedule, a busy schedule of creating content for you guys only. अब यही काम बचा है हमारा। इस वीकेंड एक ही शो है, मैं आ रहा हूँ अहमदाबाद में। आई थिंक हाफ द सीट्स आर गॉन ऑलरेडी। आई एम डूइंग फ्रेश वायलेंस फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम इन अहमदाबाद। डू कम इफ यू आर इन दैट सिटी or anywhere in Gujarat from within driving distance, no, because the roads are great thanks to supreme leader. तो आ जाइए, क्योंकि पहले मैं करता था बड़ौदा में, सूरत में शो, पर अभी इतना वहाँ पे बन नहीं पा रहा है। तो एक ही शो होगा गुजरात में, अहमदाबाद में होगा, तो आइएगा सैटरडे को। फिर यही शो उसके बाद लेके जा रहा हूँ बैंगलोर और दिल्ली। एंड वी ऑल्सो एडेड शोज इन चेन्नई, गोवा एंड पुणे। तो ये सब लिंक हैं डिस्क्रिप्शन में। चाहिए तो एक बार जेमी ऐड कर देना इसमें, नोट्स फ्रॉम द बंकर का लिंक, क्योंकि वो मैं लास्ट टाइम कर रहा हूँ, उसके बाद मैं नहीं करूँगा। तो इट्स हैपनिंग इन अ फ्यू सिटीज ओनली। डू लुक इट अप इन द चैट एंड इफ यू गाइस आर हियर, एक बार CFBR का नारा लगाइए ताकि हम आगे बढ़े। हैं लोग हैं, चलो कुछ लोग तो देख रहे हैं। तो आज के जो गेस्ट है, इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पर्सन। Besides being a friend of mine, is also somebody whose work I really appreciate. And he's come the full circle. He's gone from being active in politics to some extent to being completely in the corporate sphere to now completely being in the creator sphere. And even within the creator landscape, he's chosen a very difficult life for himself, because he talks about science in India, and not just talks, he defends science. That's a very dangerous proposition, no, because डिफेंडिंग तो ठीक है, बात करना ही काफी डेंजरस है आज के इंडिया में। तो ये करते हैं फॉलोइंग इन अ ग्रेट बट ट्रेजिक लाइनअप ऑफ पीपल राइट फ्रॉम सोक्रेटिस टू दाभोलकर। प्लीज वेलकम आवर गेस्ट टुनाइट, मिस्टर विमो। राउंड ऑफ applause wherever you're sitting in your respective hometowns.
हेलो।
Hi, hi. Thank you, man, for being here. कैसे हो?
माय प्लेजर। अच्छा हूँ। आई होप यू आर आल्सो डूइंग ओके। इट्स बीन अ व्हाइल।
Yes, yes, relatively. I'm doing well, I guess. How
हम्म।
is the creator life working out for you? Every time I see you trying something new within the creator landscape.
So that's the creative life, right? The creative life is not going to be that you decided to do a thing and then you don't have to do anything else. It's always going to be try 10 things, 8 fail, 2 maybe work, and then you focus on those 2 while experimenting with 8 more things. It's
Yeah.
a constant iteration process. So I noticed that you said that I defend science. I defend rationality. You don't have to
Okay.
go all the way to science. There are
Huh.
smarter people than I doing that.
Huh.
But I'm just a rationality content creator, and my focus is on how to think clearly.
Wow. It sounds simple, but it's a lot of.
Yeah, you can break it down to how to think or how.
Huh.
Just how is enough.
Just how.
Limo, he does
And
how?
you said you try a lot of things which every creator has to in today's landscape,
Mhm.
but then doing that while maintaining a certain level of integrity is the more difficult part. कि
Huh, I
करने
mean,
को
when
तो
I
फिर लोग
say,
कुछ भी कर लेंगे, पर
yeah,
पब्लिक
yeah,
को
yeah,
अनबॉक्सिंग कर लेगा, but
yeah,
then are you adding any value?
yeah. So there are some things which are completely neutral, like or
है ऐसा
rather
कुछ?
have the potential of being neutral, like gaming,
हाँ
right? You can do
हाँ
gaming content, and
हाँ.
you don't end up hurting anyone, you don't end up helping anyone. It's just pure entertainment.
Okay.
But then there are gaming content creators who build a lot of clout using gaming, and then use that clout to spread toxic information.
Wow.
Then there are gaming content creators who try to create gaming content that is somehow politically relevant. That also is there. You had your guest Meghnad here a week ago. One of his he does gaming streams sometimes, and what he does through those gaming streams is tries to build a little bit of tertiary awareness about political happenings and stuff. So yeah, I mean, integrity to rehna chahiye. Matlab, you need to know who you are before you. Yeah, it's about authenticity, right? You're selling yourself, so you need to know what the product is. नहीं तो your audience will like पकड़ो भाई जल्दी से, like you'll easily get caught. Hmm?
आई थिंक, हाँ।
हाँ.
Okay,
Okay.
क्या
Okay.
मेरा आंसर कट गया क्या? मैं पूरा आंसर दिया बैठ के मुझे, पर पुनीत was frozen in a like Puneet looked
नहीं,
like
I
he was
think
paying a lot of attention.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, पुनीत का वो
नहीं.
अंबानी
हाँ.
ने कम दिया लगता है आज।
अच्छा,
Okay. Okay.
मैं
Vimo was
पूरा
there,
आंसर
right?
दिया मैंने. ओके.
हाँ,
ओके,
Yeah.
कूल कूल कूल. मुझे लगा मैं
100
अपने आप से बात कर रहा था.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, आपका तो काफी प्रोफेशनल सेटअप है, हम लोग ही यहाँ पे तार लगा के बैठे हैं. So for people who are seeing you for the first time today, how would you introduce yourself, like as simply put, to
I
a new
am
audience?
I'm a I don't know, man. See, this is funny coming right after me telling people you have to know who you are.
Yeah.
So I am a content creator. I have
Yeah.
a YouTube channel called Vimo. I have a
Hmm.
live streaming channel called Vimo Live where I talk to people like this.
Yeah.
I have an Instagram handle where I make reels debunking popular misinformation and conspiracy theories. I'm a comic book writer. I have written a comic book called Ravanayan, and most recently I wrote another one called The Heck, which has just come out at Mumbai Comic Con.
Oh, nice.
I used to be a theist, like a believer in God, and also a somewhat right wing aligned journalist.
Hmm.
And what somehow properly right wing aligned journalist. And after that, I ran a YouTube channel for 2 years called Epified, which was about Hindu mythology. So
Yeah.
yeah, as I mentioned, you have to try a bunch of stuff and then realize what is working and what is not.
So Vimo's main channel is tagged in the description. His Insta handle is there in the description as well. जो comics जो कहा आपने वो, that what about the artwork, you do it yourself or
No, no,
उसमें
no, no.
भी
I'm a
it's a
writer.
collaboration?
I'm a writer. I
Yeah.
write comics.
जी.
The publisher is for like all of my comics have been published by Holy Cow. They
Hmm.
have a studio where there's an art director, letterer, penciler. I write the story and the script,
Hmm.
and they do the rest. And then I help with the publicity a little bit.
So write down to each what is it called in a comic book, each frame
Panel.
you write panel, you write it
Mm.
that way, and then they do the artwork.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a script, right? Well, page one, panel one. This is happening. This character is saying this. This character is saying this.
Okay, so
And
you
then the entire
storyboard it
thing.
also a little bit.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
So storyboarding requires a little bit of illustration. I don't do
Hmm.
that. I just write the. So the process is that I give an idea, then the idea works, then there is a synopsis,
Hmm.
and if the synopsis works, then there is a detailed page by page breakdown. Then if that works, then you get onto the script process, and then the script happens, then the art happens, and all that.
So you've written 2 comic books so far, and these can be serialized, and ये उसका और आगे आ सकता है. It can become
Ravanayan. My first comic work is actually 10 books.
ooh,
10 issues. It was an entire series. Now it has come out as one book, and it has also been
okay.
translated into Hindi. The one that I wrote right now is just issue one of a series. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 parts. So
Okay.
part one is out.
It's a lot of work, man.
No,
This,
man, it's
this
not.
is nice.
Yeah,
But
it's not.
then I mean, combined with a lot of other things that you're doing,
Ha,
it
yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah,
full-time job,
yeah,
no?
yeah. Like a lot of people, I have been programmed by capitalism to think of myself as useless if I am not destroying myself while working. So every time there is a moment कि मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मुझे कुछ करना चाहिए, मुझे कुछ करना चाहिए, मुझे कुछ करना चाहिए. So I sit down to write, I make something, I make a video. I
Yeah,
feel guilty
yeah,
while playing games.
yeah,
I should
yeah,
not be doing this.
yeah, yeah.
So
So,
that is where the gaming content comes from. Like you're feeling guilty while playing games. So you're
so
thinking, wait, can I turn this into something also?
it's a very Indian thing, ना कि हर बात से vocation निकालना है कुछ तो.
Ah.
We got our first super chat coming in from Pruthi Pritam, who simply said, I love you. Great. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Jamie, I've been told by YouTube to acknowledge the super chats from last week also. So if you can dig those up, might as well. Uh, I wanted to ask you, dude, you went through this whole phase where no, you were into journalism, then you went to corporate as well. A lot of people who take up creative jobs, like writing or something in an agency, they usually go in thinking कि this will be the best job because creativity भी है और पैसा भी मिलेगा. But ऐसा ज़्यादा होता नहीं है. It becomes dually disappointing because it is a job at the end of the day, like any other job. And
Yeah.
plus, you
So
don't really get to do what you really want to do creatively, in a company.
no, I do. Like, when even when I went into the job that you're talking about,
जी.
I went in with very clear understanding of what was required of me.
हम्म.
And yeah, it was not as clean a creative job as I would have wanted. क्योंकि creative आदमी को खाली creative करना है, right?
हाँ.
पर उसमें लोगों से बात करना पड़ता है, कोलैबोरेट करना पड़ता है, लोगों से
Yeah.
मतलब वो सब करना पड़ता है. I loved it. So it takes time, right? You join, and then after some time you get disillusioned.
हाँ.
I don't stay after the disillusionment. I know the disillusionment is coming, but before that
Yeah.
there's a honeymoon period,
Yeah.
and when the honeymoon period ends, I leave. I go somewhere else and have another honeymoon.
Yeah. This is a good advice for relationships also, people who are listening.
Is it though?
Yeah. Because it's otherwise then it becomes a sunk cost fallacy. कि
Yeah,
इतने साल निकाल
yeah,
दिए
yeah, yeah.
और what prompted you to leave finally to go from a job still has some security, although in today's economy not really, but still comparatively,
Mhm.
and then to go back to this being completely on your own and away from the metropolis and doing this. So
So
this is a very
the metropolis was sucking me dry. That's why. Financially, like I quit my
yeah,
job and I thought,
yeah,
okay, I want to write, right? Because
yeah,
that has been the goal for my like
yeah,
since childhood. I
yeah,
want to write novels, I want to write
yeah.
fiction, fantasy, comics, etc. But there is no money in it. That is why you have to
Hmm.
take up a job. And the job was
Correct.
not bad. I like my jobs.
Sure.
After that, I did some consultancy work for a TV channel also, and that was also something I liked. Like
Okay.
I think when I'm on my deathbed, I'll be happy to say that I did this stuff and got paid. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah,
reading stories and I was getting paid. I was writing
yeah,
stories and I was getting paid. That's
yeah.
a tremendous thing. Many people can't say that.
Right,
So
right.
I have no regrets about my professional history. But the reason I left is because, as I said, the disillusionment part comes ki, okay, how long am I going to do this? And also the
Hmm.
company was kind of wrapping up, channels were getting
Hmm.
shut down and not much money was coming in.
Yeah.
So I left and then I thought, okay, I'll stay in Mumbai and I'll do the thing. I'll take some side job and I'll do writing. So I wrote
Yeah.
and I finished an entire novel sitting in Mumbai. 1 year, I left my job and I stayed in Mumbai for 1 year after that.
Ooh,
And I finished a
it's
novel. वो published नहीं हुआ है, but I
wow.
wrote it, which is something I'm
Yeah,
really proud of.
yeah.
I used to go to Dunkin' Donuts every day, sit down and write, right? So that's something I'm happy about. But फिर मुझे लगा कि अगर मुझे घर पे बैठ के लिखना है, तो मैं
हाँ,
मुंबई में रेंट दे के क्यों
रेंट
लिखूं?
क्यों
Why
दूँ?
not come
हाँ,
back to my hometown and go
yeah,
live with my family and do it? And I
yeah,
came back here, and turns out the internet is much faster here. And when I discovered
yeah,
that, I can actually upload videos here.
yeah,
Okay, let's do that also. So I started a
uh,
YouTube channel and stuff. The goal was to be self-dependent. And
yeah,
after a lot of highs and lows, now I think I'm approaching a place where I can say that, yeah, YouTube, etc., is my full-time thing.
right. And also lower AQI that you're living in, comparatively at least.
Yeah. And also low prices everywhere. Low prices
Yes,
in small
yeah,
towns. If you are
yeah,
going to be a full-time content creator, my advice is move to a cheap place.
absolutely. Makes
Yeah,
full sense.
yeah.
Because even within stand-up, no, I go to a lot of small towns. I mean, not anymore, but I used to do
Hmm.
shows. And even in the big cities also, the young comics would come and ask me, कि, "Sir, आगे क्या करना चाहिए?" So my advice at that time, few years back, used to be, कि, come to Mumbai, come to Delhi, because that's where the scene is.
Yeah,
And once you come to Mumbai, you will know how badly you want to do stand-up. Because once you start paying rent,
yeah,
then you will know that you do you really
yeah,
love
yeah,
stand-up or
yeah.
not. But now more lately I've been telling them कि मत करो, आप अपने वहां पे बैठ के कुछ क्रिएट करो, कुछ भी
Hmm.
चलेगा. It could be
TikTok
cringe,
करता,
but
like imagine how many
TikTok करो.
people got exposure through TikTok, how
Yeah,
many people became
yeah,
stars from their
yeah,
small houses and small towns
yeah,
and villages.
yeah, yeah. Zero overheads.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
we
मैं
had.
जब पहली बार मुंबई जा रहा था,
Hmm,
like I went from Chennai to Mumbai, right?
hmm,
So I met someone in the train who said, "Welcome to Mumbai, but there is a curse on this city. You will make a lot of money here. You won't be able to
हाँ.
take that money anywhere else. वो यहीं पे खर्च हो जाएगा सारा का सारा."
Oh man, writing a novel in Mumbai while not having a job is very expensive.
It is, and because that
Yeah.
was the time when I was getting supported partly by my whatever little savings I had, and
Hmm,
partly by I don't think I had much savings. I was being supported by my family.
hmm, hmm. That always helps.
Yeah.
Uh, why did you leave Twitter? I know you've spoken about it at length, but for our audience, because a lot of them are on Twitter and no, वो भी अपना जी जला रहे हैं, वो देख देख के क्या हो रहा है. So
एक तो
what prompted it? And also just a second question to that is like, is life better once that thing is off your plate every day?
Twitter doesn't exist anymore.
X.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, I don't think, like, whatever I understand when you say Twitter does not
Uh,
exist anymore. It's a very
hmm.
different place. I joined Twitter in 2006 when it started, right?
Oh, way back. Yeah.
So I'm quite possibly among the very first users of Twitter in India, and I deleted my
Wow.
account 2 years ago, I think 1 year, 2 years ago. And I mostly did it because every time I would log on, it will be an unending stream of people looking for attention in the most ghastly way possible.
Yeah.
Like, I am
Yeah.
abusive, look at me. I am
Yeah.
insane and unhinged, look at me. And Facebook पे एक I actually quit Facebook before I quit Twitter also. Like Facebook I quit because I was
अच्छा.
realizing कि I would have an idea, and that idea would go into Facebook and I'll be done with it. So
Hmm.
uh, in a better world, I would probably have saved that idea for a book or something,
हाँ.
more tangible, more lasting. But the
हाँ.
social media algorithm was absorbing my, like, sucking my creativity into it and not giving me anything in return except the, fleeting benefit of a like or a few hundred likes.
Yeah.
So Facebook छोड़ दिया, ट्विटर
हाँ.
छोड़ा क्योंकि ट्विटर मुझे बस गुस्सा दिला रहा था और कुछ नहीं कर रहा था. And yes, there is a definite benefit to leaving social media. It does make you more productive. At least that's what I've noticed. मेरा
Definitely.
YouTube channel, YouTube channel, my live stream, my Instagram handle, whatever I've written since then, none of this would have happened if I was still on Facebook and Twitter.
What Insta also is fairly gamified. So then does
Yeah,
that not
but
take up a lot of your time?
Instagram is actually making, like, bringing some change into my life. Facebook was not, Twitter was not. Twitter pe, like, I had 26,000 followers and was getting like one retweet every post. I don't know why.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Because, okay.
I think at
Because,
some point the algorithm
hmm,
decided I was not to
hmm,
be whatever. But that was part of it. Like, if Twitter
hmm,
was giving me some benefit, I would have tried, right? But Instagram, every time I have tried to leave Instagram has exploded.
yeah,
Yeah.
following response from people and
Yeah.
okay,
And the
okay.
kind of stuff I put out is finding like it's resonating with people. So Instagram is there. I'm not attached to Instagram honestly.
That's so nice
If
to
one day
hear.
it goes,
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, yeah. It's not a huge source of revenue. It's not a huge source of satisfaction. In fact, a part of me will be relieved if it goes away. But my YouTube, I'm really looking to grow into something
uh,
good and wholesome.
if we survive the broadcast act, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it,
There have always been restrictions.
hmm,
There have always been people who want to prevent you from saying what you have to say,
hmm,
and it has never worked completely. So the people who have to say things will find ways to say things.
hmm. Unless it becomes a very China-like scenario where even memes are being banned, then you find out
I
new memes to say it.
I spoke to a scientist at some event at Pune once a couple of years ago, and he said, like, the way Gujarat is a laboratory for certain ideological stuff, they
Yeah.
want to make India a laboratory. But the problem with the laboratory is that the laboratory needs controlled conditions, and India is permanently out of control. So they're going to try. Definitely, they're going to try.
Yeah.
That's their goal.
Yeah,
But I don't think it's the success. मतलब ऐसे चांदी के प्लेट पे रख के उनको मिल जाएगा.
yeah, yeah.
They're
They
already
made
struggling. They're already struggling a lot. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, they made strides for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel the only reason why you're not having complete control is because, like you said, you can't in a
Yeah.
country like this. It's
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
fledging, it's too
Yeah.
big, it's too wild
Mm.
to do it. But there'll always be some pockets left. But when I see stuff like Digi Yatra, I am amazed how people can't see through it. But even the logos are so bad. Like it just looks so insidious and evil. And
Yeah.
have you been following the story, dude? It has come out
The
in the
Digiyatra
open.
thing.
Yeah,
All I know
all
is that it's about like creating a database of people with facial scans and
yeah,
biometric data and stuff.
yeah. So it's
Uh,
biometric data, and the promise is that you get quick access to airports, which it does. But they link your face to whatever Aadhaar card or something.
mm-hmm.
And they kept promising that data is only locally stored on your phone. But it turns out all of it was going to a server of the private contractor who's doing it. पहली बात तो company ही private है.
Mm.
तो आपको पता है कि he's already looking suspect. And then it emerges that the guy who was running the company was already under investigation by the ED for fraud, where in Andhra he had a traffic project, so where the fines that are being charged, for violation of traffic rules, उसमें से भाई 5-5 रुपया मार रहा था. तो उसमें 35-40 करोड़ का स्कैम का चल रहा है इन्वेस्टिगेशन. प्लस he's got this. So they removed him, and overnight they told कि अभी ये ऐप पुराना होगा, नया ऐप डाउनलोड करो. तो obviously people will feel कि ये क्या हो रहा है. बट क्या होता है, पीपल आर लेट, सो देन वो लोग करा लेते हैं कि चलो एंट्री मिल रहा है अंदर. प्लस दे हैव पीपल एट द गेट who try to convince you to do it, and they
Mm.
don't give you information. They say ये करा लो, ये करना है, because in India people don't ask questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And there
think
are
one of the saving graces is that not everyone can afford to fly, so it's not widespread enough. It's a it's a
yeah,
it's
it's
a
not that
it's a pretty urban problem.
right now, but now
Yeah.
the ambition knows no bounds. So now they say that we are going to link it to all the hotel bookings. So when you go to a hotel, you need to show Digi Yatra.
हाँ, तो
तो
वो भी वैसे लाइक स्टिल एन अर्बन प्रॉब्लम. कितने लोग होटल में जाके रहते हैं? कोई इंडिया में नॉर्मली इफ यू गो टू अनदर टाउन यू गो रिश्तेदार के पास रहने के लिए जाते हो, राइट? एंड मेरे जैसे लोगों को कोई बोलेगा ये करने के लिए ऐप
yeah.
इंस्टॉल करो इस फोन पे, हाँ कर लूंगा मैं, ठीक है, थैंक यू.
Oh fuck, is that? Can you show that to us? What? Oh wow.
इट्स अ नोकिया 105.
It's
मैं
it's
इसी पे
a
बात यूज करता हूँ अब.
it's a anachronistic device. So this is
वो टेलीफोन के सॉरी स्मार्टफोन के डिस्ट्रैक्शन से और दिस टाइप ऑफ सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न से डील करने के लिए आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज अ बेटर वे.
so then for Insta you have a phone and only for that you use it
नो, ऑन
with
माय
a
डेस्कटॉप आई यूज
smart
इट.
Insta desktop से
या
upload होता है क्या
instagram.com.
desktop? हाँ,
www.instagram.com is like Facebook. You go log on, you do everything.
and you can upload shit also from there.
You can upload videos, photos. मैं सब कुछ डेस्कटॉप से करता हूँ. You can do
That's
WhatsApp
sick.
also from desktop.
मैं फेंक रहा है इसको, हो गया because and so then I was going to ask you कि screen time कैसे आप then आपका screen है ही नहीं, फिर तो अच्छी बात है.
नहीं, स्क्रीन टाइम
So
होता है
इस
ना. लाइक द फोन इज देयर, इट्स स्टिल
हाँ
कनेक्टेड टू माय घर का वाईफाई बिकॉज सम थिंग्स लाइक स्विगी खाना ऑर्डर वगैरह,
हाँ
ओला बुक करना वगैरह तो हम इस फोन से नहीं कर सकते. बट आई हैव रिड्यूस स्क्रीन टाइम टू अ ग्रेट डिग्री एंड दैट अलाउज मी टू रीड बुक्स.
और तो doom scrolling नहीं हो रहा है.
नहीं, डूम स्क्रॉलिंग नहीं हो रहा. अदर पीपल कैन डूम स्क्रॉल ऑन माय वीडियोस बट आई एम नॉट फॉलोइंग इनटू इट.
हाँ, हलवाई खुद की मिठाई खाता नहीं कभी भी. Fuck, that's great to hear. Guys, our guest today is so sorted in life. It is amazing. It's hard to believe, but I'll go by what he's saying at face value because he's been very rational about it. He
It's
talks
not
about
like
it
I didn't
also.
have these problems. I just decided to take some strong measures to solve them. ये
Yeah,
तो
yeah.
हम
You
लोग,
follow
I
through.
don't think like if you make a poll on YouTube right now on your
Hmm.
chat and
Hmm.
ask your audience, do you wish to reduce the amount of time you spend on your phone?
Yeah,
Everyone will say yes.
yeah.
Some people will justify कि it's for work and stuff, but
Hmm.
everyone realizes that it's a problem.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's, in the end, you can't keep blaming everybody else. You have to do it yourself. It's like
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
addiction.
It's
At the
your
end of the
life.
day.
It's your life, your time. You decide how you want to spend it, and if this is not it, then do something to say change things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. There are about 230 people watching and only 100 people have liked the stream. भाई लोग आप कर क्या रहे हो? पहले like करो stream को. Also, Jamie, if there are any questions you think we should take, do let us know, because हमारा चलता रहेगा ये.
एक
Uh,
सुपर
hmm,
चैट आया है
hmm,
हमारे एकदम वो एलविश यादव के फैन टाइप का एक सुपर चैट आया है।
हाँ,
यहाँ पे प्रीति प्रीतम जी ने भेजा है, हमें बोला है आई लव यू किंग पुनीत, और ऐसा वो
हाँ
पानी
वो
छिड़कने वाला।
वो पढ़
हाँ
लिए रे?
वो हाँ वो देखा आपने. ये
हम्म.
पानी छिड़कने से क्या होता है? मेरे को कभी तक समझा नहीं वो.
अरे
क्या?
इजैकुलेशन।
हाँ, my friends also use it for that, so they are not wrong. ठीक है. uh, do tell me what prompted you to take up talking on rationality in a big way? Was it always the slant you were taking, or there's been a more recent thing after YouTube happened?
नो, सो आई वाज ऑलवेज एन एथिस्ट। तो मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग करता था कुछ साल पहले, जब मोस्टली हम लोग दिन के पॉलिटिक्स वगैरह के बारे में बात करते थे। एंड
Hmm.
आई यूज्ड टू टेल पीपल दैट आई एम एन एथिस्ट, एंड सम पीपल वुड समटाइम्स कम एंड ट्राई टू चेंज इट, राइट? एंड आई वाज
Yeah.
लाइक ये क्या चल रहा है? एंड देन आई रियलाइज कि मैं जो शोज देखता था यूट्यूब पर, एथिज्म
Yeah.
रिलेटेड शोज जहाँ पे डिबेट
Yeah.
शोज होते थे, कि ऐसा
Yeah.
इंडिया में कुछ खास था नहीं। थे, पर मुझे उनके बारे में पता नहीं था। लाइक देयर आर रियली ह्यूज rationality channels in India, but I thought there weren't any.
Yeah,
So
there
I
are.
thought,
Okay.
yeah, there are.
Hmm.
हिंदी में है, so there
Hmm.
weren't any. So I started doing it. इंस्टाग्राम पे किया, यूट्यूब पे लाइव करने का कोशिश किया, इंस्टाग्राम वालों को बोला आ जाओ यूट्यूब पे, कोई नहीं आया। फिर मैंने ट्विच पे ट्राई किया, बोला आ जाओ ट्विच पे, कुछ लोग गए, बट इट
हाँ.
डिडंट एक्सप्लोड। फिर मैंने यूट्यूब को कुछ दिन के लिए छोड़ दिया, इंस्टाग्राम पे कंटिन्यू किया। फिर यूट्यूब धीरे धीरे ग्रो करने लगा। देन आई गॉट अ लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग के लिए स्पेशल वेब कैम एंड दिस
Hmm.
इक्विपमेंट फॉर माई पॉडकास्ट। तो आई
Hmm.
थॉट अब जबकि ये सब आ ही गया है तो एक बार फिर से ट्राई करता हूँ, तो ट्राई किया। इट ग्रू वेरी स्लोली। द लाइव स्ट्रीम इज ऑलवेज ग्रोन slower
Yeah.
than the just video upload channel,
हाँ.
but it has grown to a point that its success is kind of washing into the main channel also.
अच्छा, so there's a different audience clearly.
Yeah. So people who like videos
Hmm.
are not always people who like live streams, and the live stream
Hmm.
audience is very loyal.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like you're watching YouTube and you're literally talking to the person on the screen, right? It's
Yeah.
got a different kind of value. So live stream audience is very different. Like it won't increase radically, it won't get you a lot of views, but those people will come back every week to just talk.
Right. Because I've seen you've been putting out your experiences as a creator also purely, like, no, without getting into the subject matter,
Hmm.
but just your experiments with like Twitch, like you said, no, and also other platforms which can be monetized, which
Mm-hmm.
I like that approach that you try everything,
I
because,
got monetized on Twitch. I am
huh,
monetized on Twitch. I don't use it because Twitch keeps 50% of the revenue.
oof. So right now, then YouTube remains the better of all the options
Yeah.
given
For
everything.
India,
YouTube is.
definitely. Like
Hmm.
Twitch is not at all popular in India.
Hmm.
And even if it becomes, there's the 50% dollar problem. But
Hmm.
YouTube is a better deal because uh, the gaming content in India is mostly not streamed, it's uploaded. Like people
Hmm.
play a lot and then they edit it into a shorter video with
Then
commentary and
upload.
stuff and they upload. That's why
Okay.
YouTube is still like gaming के मामले में YouTube ही बड़ा है इंडिया में.
Okay. And blog wise also you had tried, right? Because Medium is still not monetized in India.
What
So
is?
where does Medium, the
हाँ, Medium,
blogs?
हाँ. Medium, I never got Medium's monetization model. It was like you write something and people
Hmm.
will like it. उनका like का नाम होता है claps. So
Yeah.
one person can clap 10 times on a thing, and
Huh.
depending on how many claps you get, you'll get money. And ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आया था कि it's very easy to game, right?
Game it. Yeah.
10-15 दोस्त रख लो, बोलो जाओ सब clap मारो, 100 clap मारो.
Huh. Huh.
So वो समझ में नहीं आया. But there is another site called Stack,
Stack.
stck.me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're actually doing good work. एंड उनका बिजनेस मॉडल भी पिछले कुछ सालों में काफी चेंज हुआ है. देर वेरी एआई फ्रेंडली.
Hmm.
दे आर फोकसिंग ऑन पीपल हु आर राइटिंग फिक्शन.
Okay.
They have multiple ways of publishing. Like on their website, you can write serial novels, you can publish web comics, you can publish photos, you can make things available for as downloads. And there is a support button where people can click and make one-time payments.
Acha, like pay as you like in a way.
Yeah, pay as you like. No membership stuff.
So it ranges from novels and the like to even short form content like blogs
You
and
can do
even
anything.
or
Yeah.
even smaller than that,
You
like a
can.
thread
You
or
can.
something. Okay.
I mean, a thread is long, right? Threads are long form content.
But okay.
If
So
it's
are you
if there is
active
no
on that?
character limitation, then you can put short stuff and long stuff.
Anything. Okay.
Hmm.
And are you active on that? Stack, Substack. No, क्या बोलते हैं? What is it called?
Stack, just stack.
Stack.
stck.me. So
Okay.
what happens there is that you can set up your own domain name. So if you go to www.vimo.in, you'll go to my Stack account only.
So you can have a domain directly on that. That's
Mhm.
interesting.
And I
Okay.
also use Stack for a second account called Agami, where I write science fiction.
Hmm.
So www.agami.com is also a Stack.
The separate one.
Yeah, separate one, where I just publish fiction, science fiction, fantasy, stuff like that.
So writing was always the one main thing, right? Like
Yeah.
even back when you were here,
Before
and
there
you
was
just
any understanding of life, of how life works, writing was a thing. Writing is still the
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
except that now there is also the understanding that writing is not going to pay the bills.
yeah,
And
yeah.
fortunately, now it doesn't have to.
Mhm.
So I can write without the expectation of making a lot of money from it.
Where does that come from? Do you think a lot of people, want to get published?
Hmm.
And that was my story as well. I started as a writer. I still think I'm primarily a writer.
Hmm.
But then after I tried getting published way before stand-up happened, I gave it everything, did not work. And then after stand-up started happening, no, I gave up on it because I realized that was, in my mind at least, it was just a very childish dream of seeing my name in print. The way I've seen the authors who I appreciate. Maybe it
Hmm.
was coming from that sort of a
Hmm.
place. And the world is clearly moved on in terms of numbers. You can still write a book for, if you want to, but
Hmm.
purely in terms of the medium, it has so clearly moved on to video that then giving up on it was not as difficult as I thought it would be.
I
You
think it may
know,
have been also the fact that we are both 90s kids,
हाँ, वही
right?
है.
So
Yeah.
इस generation के बच्चे सब YouTuber बनना चाहते हैं.
तो वो बुक्स है ही नहीं ना उनके दिमाग में कहीं, and it's not even a thing.
Yeah. But I also wonder कि we have always said कि कोई पढ़ नहीं रहा है, right? Even when it was the age of books, we've always said that कोई पढ़ नहीं रहा है. ये कोई नहीं बोलता कि YouTube कोई नहीं देख रहा है. अरे क्या होगा YouTube
Yeah.
का यार, आजकल कोई वीडियो ही नहीं देखता है, ऐसा कोई नहीं बोल
Uh,
रहा है.
but I guess Hindi would be different landscape in India, but within English, that to be a bestseller, you just need to sell 10,000 books. You're a bestseller in
Yeah.
India, right? Whereas New York Times bestseller is 1 million books.
Hmm.
So say what you want about the US, no, they have all kinds of
1 million books
people.
within a certain time span also.
So that means
Yeah.
there is a fair amount of
Massive.
reading
Yeah.
audience also, right?
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah.
So that way, we are way behind. Or is that just English? You think Hindi is much higher? You think
No,
Hindi
it's not.
Sahitya?
It's not.
It's
Hindi
not, right?
Sahitya, Hindi, people who write in Hindi always are like full of like, कोई नहीं पढ़ रहा, कोई नहीं पढ़ रहा. Or English में like a huge sign of it is that if you just search for book related channels on YouTube, you'll find a lot of them are in Europe and America and UK and Australia. इंडिया में रीडिंग का उतना है नहीं कल्चर.
है
इंडिया
ही
में जो
नहीं.
बुक सेल कर रही है वो नॉन फिक्शन है, टेक्स्ट बुक्स है,
Yeah.
सब्जेक्ट मैटर है, राइट?
And entrance exams.
एंट्रेंस
ये है
एग्जाम्स,
books
या
on. Yeah.
you recommend any book and the question in the comment will be, सर क्या ये यूपीएससी में मेरे काम आएगा?
Ooh.
नहीं यार,
Yeah.
मजे के लिए
And
पढ़ ले, एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए पढ़ ले, यही बोल रहा हूँ मैं.
नहीं, वो ऑप्शन है, ये लोगों को पता भी नहीं है.
हाँ,
And
that you can read for
it's not,
entertainment. Yeah.
it's not even the people's fault. They've been brought up that way, and
Yeah.
they've been brought up in this environment of extreme scarcity in many ways.
Yeah.
This is kind of sad. While we are on the topic, do you have a list of books that you would recommend, like a very general list that you
I
could
do actually. I
recommend
get
to
this
us?
question. I get this question so often that I
You
made a
must be
list.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
online. Go to amazon.in/shop/Vimo.
Huh.
It's a list of books. I make no money from it, despite the fact that it is a shop, because not many people. Everyone asks, and then nobody buys.
So I get this question quite a bit as well. So I have my own list, a short list, which I update sometimes. But Jamie, if you can find this out for us, can you send it in the chat? Because कुछ readers तो हैं हमारे भी यहाँ
अरे
पे
आप वो डीएम करते थे ना वो लिस्ट.
अब अभी जो बोला लिस्ट में वो.
हाँ.
Wait,
अच्छा
I'll just type it into the chat.
हाँ. Yeah. Any questions also, Jamie, that we should be taking from the chat so far? I'll just see
Hmm.
कौन है यहाँ पे
भेज दिया
Sahil Sakordekar is here. A lot of people are interested about the atheist part of it. So, if you could
Hmm.
tell us, like, was there a life event or a phase that sort of pushed you over to being completely, because you said you were a theist at one point, right? And then was there some phase in the middle, or then you completely came over to this side?
It was multiple phases. Like every time in life, like almost never in life, will there be कि एक दिन ऐसा हुआ और उसके बाद वाले दिन से सब कुछ बदल गया. ऐसा नहीं हुआ मेरे
हाँ
साथ. मेरा
हाँ
ये था कि for a long time I thought that I believe in God because I was under the impression that we are more evolved than other animals. And the
हम्म
day that kind of fell aside, it all broke apart. Because
हम्म
you keep thinking, right, कि religion exists, right? And we evolved to be a certain kind of animal. And this
हम्म
animal is imaginative. This animal believes, it has faith. There must be a reason behind it.
yeah
And then I read Sapiens by Yuval Harari, and I realized that that reason was simply keeping society together.
yeah
And democracy comes from the same place. And then
yeah
I also started realizing that that's also what Terry Pratchett said when he said that uh, human beings need fantasy to be human, because a huge part of our making is just perceived realities. Like the sun is a hot ball of burning gas, right? But
yeah
it is also the sun. If
yeah
we were not here to define it as the sun, it will just be a ball of burning gas.
yeah
So that expanded my mind to the extent that, okay, we don't actually need more reason than that to explain the fact that we believe and that we have an imagination.
हम्म
Imagination has an evolutionary purpose, and this
हम्म
explains it perfectly well. So उसके बाद से मैं अपने आप को एक्चुअली बोलने लगा एथिस्ट. हाँ, मैं एथिस्ट हूँ. But even then I was not creating content. That happened a few years after that.
okay. And was it a time when you started feeling more strongly about it, maybe?
No, I mean,
Because I'm
I,
thinking purely as a choice of subject matter for content,
hmm.
you've chosen a very difficult one for yourself in this market.
So here's the thing. I don't actually feel that strongly about it,
Okay.
because I feel strong. If you were to say what is the goal of my content, it
Hmm.
is not to make people atheists. I make
Okay.
atheism related content because it is one of the things I do, and
Okay.
it happens to be also a thing that people have an interest in. But
Yeah.
my goal would be to, like, you go through Instagram reels and you find out the amount of bullshit that is floating around there, and you do get frustrated sometimes and you make a
Hmm.
reel about it. But
Hmm.
that's because you could not have ignored it. Like, it इतना stupid, इतना monumentally stupid चीज है कि, like, कल परसों एक रील देखा जिसमें कोई बोला कि हमारे यहाँ ऐसे मंत्र हैं जिसमें लिखा है कि ब्रह्मा, जो बृहस्पति जो प्लैनेट है, उसका
Hmm.
जो मंत्र है वो है हींग क्रींग समथिंग समथिंग. ये
Hmm.
देखिए, नासा ने जो जुपिटर का रिकॉर्डिंग लाया है उसको सुनिए. और फिर वो ट्रर आवाज आ रहा है, उसके नीचे उसने
Yeah.
लिखा हुआ है हींग क्रींग. like, कहाँ है हींग क्रींग? योर इमेजिनेशन इज गिविंग यू हींग क्रींग, इट डजंट से हींग क्रींग. Also, when you say that sound is off the planet, what are
Yeah.
you talking about? Because these are
Yeah.
the sounds of lightning and thunder in the clouds of Jupiter.
Yeah.
If an alien came to Earth and recorded some thunder clouds, would he be able to say, yeah, Earth ka sound hai?
Yeah.
Because Earth is not vibrating at that frequency or whatever. It's
Yeah.
just one of the many sounds that a planet produced. So this is like one level, two level, three levels deep
Yeah.
on a stupid video. There is an easy way to debunk it also, which is
Yeah.
that नहीं
Yeah.
मुझे नहीं सुनाई दिया.
Yeah.
But that does not last. So what I want actually is not to tell people तुम्हें ये सोचना चाहिए, कि
Hmm.
इन चीजों के बारे में कैसे सोचना चाहिए वो मैं
Yes.
बताना चाहता हूँ.
How to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally, अभी कुछ दिन पहले I interviewed a scientist called Logical I Am, and I said
Hmm.
my goal is to bring a lot of you people together so that there is a strong rationalist strain in Indian YouTube, and then I'll retire and write novels. They think of me as the Nick Fury of Indian atheists.
You think the channels on rationality that you discovered later, which were already big,
Hmm.
do they sort of come from this long culture of being Gnostic in the country, or they are more Western philosophy driven?
I think both. There are some
It's
which
both.
are very focused on how atheism manifests in India, and then
Hmm.
there are some which are very inspired by Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, etc. I
Hmm.
personally am not. Like, I was a theist and I read Dawkins, etc. And I did not change my mind. What changed my mind eventually was Sapiens by Yuval
Yeah,
Harari, which is not even a book about atheism.
correct.
So in the Indian atheistic landscape, you'll find a lot of variety. There are people who are actually believers of God, but still do debunking work.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing which are too cuckoo for them also.
Yeah,
Some
yeah, yeah,
cuckoo they will
yeah,
keep,
yeah.
but they
Even
have a
among
limit.
even in my community, there are a bunch of people who will be like, yeah, I believe in God. And I think all religions are very smart and everything. पर ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो रहा है.
अच्छा, ऐसे लोग भी.
Yeah, ऐसे भी लोग हैं. Secular minded religious people, they're also a huge part of my community. And I
We
personally am like,
hmm.
दुनिया में देश में इतना दुख है. A person has been abandoned by the legal, by the law, by law enforcement, by the government. Climate is going to shit. मैं किस राइट से जाके उसको बोलूं कि नहीं, the one thing that is giving you hope in life is also false.
Ah.
I'm not going to do that.
Hmm.
But as far
Hmm.
as encouraging people to think more clearly is concerned, I try to do that.
So you see yourself coming more towards a place of empathy, because a lot of
Yeah.
people start, with rebellion, and there is disillusionment, there's anger sometimes, but eventually it has to be empathy, because
Yeah.
it's not the people's fault. No,
We recently lost, like only a couple of days ago, a major voice in the Indian atheist stream. There is a channel called Human with Science. The person who
Okay.
ran it
Hmm.
passed away. And
Hmm.
the defining quality of his channel was that he used to talk to people nicely.
Hmm.
People used to come and he would be like, देखिए बताइए आपका कैसा experience है. He'll get a lot of abuse also, but he never paid them back in that coin.
Regardless of how they, acha,
Yeah. So
that's the
he was
place
such
to
a gem of
aspire
a
to be.
person that
Hmm.
the loss is really serious. And I think that if there is one lesson and if all of us can take away from it, is that it is religion that is making you cruel towards your fellow human beings. And
Yeah.
if we want to save people from that, we can't pay them back in the same coin that they give us. Because a lot of new atheists tend to be teenagers, right? Religious लोगों के अधिकार छीन लेने चाहिए, ये करना चाहिए, एथिज्म जिंदाबाद. आई एम लाइक, तू रिलीजन छोड़ दिया है पर रिलीजियस मेंटालिटी नहीं छोड़ पाया अब तक.
Yeah. Atheism जिंदाबाद, ये मैं पहली बार.
प्राउड टू बी एन एथिस्ट,
Uh,
वो सब भी.
yeah. The moment the word pride comes in, it's already too late.
Yeah. Not
We
always, but sometimes, yeah.
we got a super chat of 5,000 rupees from Bill Goldberg. Wow, Bill Goldberg, I'm a big fan. वो बोल रहे हैं कि amazing to see Vimo and Puneet at the same place. Please do a live stream on June 4th, election day, with भारतीय जनता podcast. वो ना भाजपा pod जो है,
There is
as
one. Yeah.
therapy for all of us. Will be attending a show in Ahmedabad on Saturday. Not a bad idea, and I didn't think of that. Are you clued into politics much now? Ki you're just on your this no in this stream of like
No, totally I am in.
totally,
I
okay.
am in, yeah.
And do you talk about it on your channel?
Yeah, I do. I only did yesterday, like on Instagram पे एक reel डाला members only live stream से लेके.
Hmm.
So a couple of years ago, I was really angry and I was doing it. Right now, I have more hope because a lot of people are doing it. So I'm kind of allowing myself to relax a little bit. क्या पता आजकल जिस रेट से हार्ट अटैक हो रहा है मुझे भी हो जाए. Because I also took Covishield. So who knows?
Hmm. Yeah, so you're saying you're seeing more diverse voices
Yes.
online than a few years back.
Yeah.
I can see it in the comments also.
Mhm.
If you go to BJP's Instagram page, उनको इतनी गालियां पड़ रही हैं वहां पे, at least on Instagram.
हाँ.
नहीं, ट्विटर पे भी है ही वैसे तो.
वो तो है इसलिए क्योंकि the BJP has alienated a large part of its own follower base with its stupidity. And also a lot of people.
Maybe, is it just hubris, you think, after all these years in power? It must be. Is it hubris also? Or is it
Yeah,
just
we're
stupidity?
looking at one guy who's in love with himself, thinking that it is not possible for people to not like him. That's all that is happening, pretty much. I mean, the manipulation of systems, etc., that is going on definitely. But the guy is so effing full of himself, it's not even funny. 10 साल तक अपने फेस के ऊपर फोटोशॉप लगाने के अलावा कुछ भी नहीं किया है. प्योर नौटंकी है.
Meaning it's a basket case of megalomania. No?
Yeah.
All the signs are there. I think
Every
it
single,
can be
yeah.
No?
Yeah.
It can be diagnosed so easily.
घर पे बैठ के डायग्नोज हो जाता है. वैसे I don't know how to diagnose him because I don't have the qualifications. But yeah, it definitely seems like that.
there's a super chat that is coming from GPSF. ये जो भी यूजर नेम है, ये send us couple of dollars just to tell me to invite Cyrus, Silvery and Ayushi on the live. Yeah, not a bad idea. So you may have seen, I used to be part of Cyrus ka panel, no?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fun podcast, ran for more than a few years by IVM, but it's not working out anymore. And when I saw the way IBM was operating, I was very glad that somebody doing this much in the podcast space. But in eventually, the individual creators, they took over, and the company. The same old story from when you are working. Ki a
Mm.
channel does not work, but the individual creator somehow. I don't know if YouTube also favors, I think, to an extent, or maybe that people like to idol worship one person more than a, I don't know,
I have
channel
no
or
idea
a
what you're
rational.
talking about. Like, I know that Cyrus has a podcast. I know that you have been a guest
Uh,
there. I know that
uh,
IVM runs it. So, what has been happening?
yeah. Is not working out like financially for them.
Oh,
So the
okay,
way
okay.
they used to, like meaning they had a proper setup, a big office with staff and everything, departments, the
Hmm.
works,
Hmm.
and with primarily in the podcast space.
Hmm.
So it's they tried for more than a few years, ran it pretty well, but it's not working out
I thought they
like
got acquired
financially.
by. Anyway, we don't need to
But
go into their. Yeah.
it's yeah by Pratalipi, which is out there in the
Pratilipi.
public domain.
Hmm.
Yeah, so at least the panel has stopped now. So they're saying unko यहाँ पे लेके आओ. Not a bad idea. Cyrus can always come.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Although, if Cyrus comes, you won't get a word in.
somehow me and Cyrus we have some chemistry, so
Okay.
the high energy low energy thing works in some respects. But I remember in the early days of that podcast, even Viswa said मुझे नहीं करने का एक्टर्स, and who you thought who nobody could outshout that guy, but Cyrus did. So one point we covered was that no, you're not an atheist evangelist, no, which is a misnomer in a way. No, like I
I
said, I
I
don't.
I I understand that a lot of people have started seeing me that way, but it is not the
It's
case.
not
It is
that
not
case.
my goal to make people atheists.
Yeah.
It is only my goal to help people see through the most common random bullshit and give them ways to counter it in the conversations that they have with their family and friends.
Hmm. Hmm. And there's one question in the chat. It says, has it become more difficult to be an atheist in this country in the past few years?
So what will happen is that suppose in the X-Men universe there is one mutant,
Yeah.
then nobody will make laws to ban mutants, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
mutant is sitting in his house, etc. But the more mutants become visible, the more anxiety it induces in people who are afraid of something different. So, in a way, the fact that atheists are increasing in number and are being more vocal about it is going to invite some kind of challenge. But
Hmm.
that's par for the course, I suppose. And
Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't easy in the beginning, also. We have had rationalists killed because of
Yeah.
their work,
In
like
cold blood. Yeah. Yeah.
Dabolkar,
Yeah.
and there were so many.
Yeah.
Uh,
It is fraught with danger if you're outspoken, especially. Right?
yes. So
But if
that is
you're
what they don't want, right? They don't mind you
hmm.
not believing in God or their religion or their babas or their superstitions.
Hmm.
But when you start spreading awareness about it, they try to, I mean, they start getting angry. But fortunately, I would say that most of the feedback that I get
Hmm.
is good.
You don't
Maybe
get that much
10% of
hate.
it is bad.
Okay. But you
Yeah.
don't get the outright hate that a lot of us do, like comics, political commentators. What we get, Twitter पे जैसा आता था वैसा वो level का नहीं है.
See, listen, the kind of people who send this abuse are not the brightest bulbs in the room. Sometimes I get the abuse that was meant for you also. ये साला स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियन है नहीं हूं मैं कॉमिक्स लिखता हूं दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग
Oh God. Okay. But then in the environment we are living in online, especially like no, you just made say a comment about Brihaspati. अभी somebody will spin that also कि ये भी anti Hindu है.
वो
So
तो करेगा हाँ करते हैं लोग
isn't that risky?
no my
But
my argument always is that you are faced with two people one is lying about your religion and the other is correcting him who is anti-Hindu because if you think I'm anti-Hindu then you are clearly not in favor of your religion being मतलब spread
hmm,
properly right
hmm.
तुम्हारे धर्म के बारे में कोई झूठ बोल रहा है अपने मन से बना के पेल रहा है कुछ भी पैसे बना रहा है, लोगों को उल्लू बना रहा है, धंधा चला रहा है पूरा का पूरा, वो
Yeah.
तुम्हारे हिसाब से बहुत धार्मिक है।
Yeah.
तो प्रॉब्लम तुम्हारे दिमाग में है।
is almost the same way nationalism is being used to say कि नहीं लद्दाख में कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है, अगर आप
हाँ
बोल रहे हो हुआ है तो आप एंटी नेशनल हो,
बस
पूरा
नहीं।
उल्टा हो गया।
See, here's the thing. I will say I'll take a slightly contrarian position about this. I think the people who do this are not most people. They're loud though. They're a very loud minority who have managed to fool all of us into thinking that they are the majority. There are very few people who are this effing stupid. And they, even among them, there is a significant number of people who are not stupid, but are only only doing this because they're getting paid for it. They're troll armies, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There is clearly some clear incentive is there.
Mm-hmm.
इनफैक्ट जो केस होता है, एफआईआर होता है, वो आपको पता है कि ऑलमोस्ट ऑल ऑफ द केसेस आर पॉलिटिकली मोटिवेटेड।
Yeah.
बिकॉज किसके पास टाइम है घर से निकल के जाएगा एफआईआर कराने के लिए रिक्शा पकड़ के? हाँ, आपका
Yeah.
कभी सिम कार्ड गुम होता है तो आपको जान पे आता है कि जाना पड़ेगा थाने पे और बात करनी पड़ेगी। तो ये आपको लगता है कोई जा रहा है ये करके कि मेरा ऑफेंड हो गया, मेरा सेंटिमेंट, ये ऑल गून्स ओनली हु आर डूइंग इट। बट स्टैंड अप में वैसा हो गया कि यू कैन नॉट इवन मेंशन अ वर्ड व्हिच इज रिमोटली रिलीजियस। यू मे हैव सेड इट विदाउट इवन रियलाइजिंग कि आपको रिलीजियस बोल रहे हो, तो आपने वो वर्ड बोल दिया ना, केस हो गया। एंड इट मे नॉट इवन बी अ जोक ऑन दैट रिलीजियस एस्पेक्ट, जस्ट द फैक्ट आप तूने बोला कैसे। तो
उसका पता है एक सॉल्यूशन बताऊं? I
हाँ,
don't think you guys are doing it, but I think you can do this. The press goes to an opposition party member and says that the press is in danger, and they are forced to make an election promise about it. Where is the stand-up comedians union?
वो तो कभी नहीं हो पाया। लोगों
So
ने
that's the
बात करी
thing.
थी।
If you guys unite and become a bit of a lobby, you can go to places that matter and say that we deserve this kind of security. We are important parts of society. We provide entertainment. We are a this much ka entertainment industry, and we need certain promises from you about what kind of rights we will get, what kind of protections we will get. If that doesn't happen, unionizing is like weird. People say कि वो leftist बातें कर रहा है, but it is the solution to most of your problems.
Union is itself become a bad word. That's how
Yeah,
capitalist we
yeah.
become.
बट यूनियंस आर कमिंग बैक इन अ बिग वे। अभी स्पॉटिफाई ने कुछ पॉडकास्टिंग स्टूडियोज को एक्वायर किया था कुछ साल पहले। गिमलेट वाज वन ऑफ देम। गिमलेट सेज कि स्पॉटिफाई इज नॉट गेटिंग द राइट्स, दे कैन कीप द प्रॉफिट्स बट दे आर नॉट गेटिंग द राइट्स, एंड व्हेन स्पॉटिफाई सेड नहीं ऐसे नहीं चलेगा, दे मेड अ यूनियन एंड blew them away.
Abroad, right? This is abroad.
Yeah, abroad, yeah. But if unions are happening in capitalism का mecca, यहाँ नहीं हो सकता, ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं है।
But
I think there
because
is definitely a need for creating a union for stand-up comedians.
labor laws have been further watered down under this regime in
Yes,
the past couple of
yes.
years, right?
Another
And
reason they need to go. Another reason
Yeah.
they need to go. Yeah.
and in general, any kind of protesting and questioning has been demonized.
Mhm.
So I think labor has really taken a big blow in the past
To be
2
honest,
years.
things were worse 2 years ago. They're
2 years
slightly
ago.
better now.
Better
Yeah.
now.
If these guys come back, they may get worse than they were 2 years ago, which is why they should not come back.
Yeah.
But I'm more hopeful now than I was a year ago.
इन स्टैंड अप मी टू के आसपास बात चली थी कि यूनियन करना चाहिए, एंड आई नो इट विल नेवर हैपन बिकॉज कॉमिक्स आर टू इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक फॉर द बेटर ऑफ अ वर्स, आई डोंट नो, बट वो एक बात है कि वो कॉपरेट नहीं होता है, नो, बिकॉज यू नीड ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल विल पावर टू डू दिस, and we've never been able to band together like
All
that.
you need is 3 or 4 stand-up comedians who also happen to be lawyers to create a group where everyone can go register. Like there is the film writers association, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Uska member बनने के लिए कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए. You just need to prove that you've written something. It can be a screenplay, a magazine article, a comic book. Just go show it, become a member. The next time you have a problem, you go there. And the more high profile the case, the more influence that union or that organization builds, and it becomes something that is going to represent all of you.
My personal take on this for stand-up at least was that our strength lies in our individuality. The moment you have a central body, they will attack the body and take you down.
Yeah, but the body is not, even if they take down the body, you're not affected. The body is only to represent you in legal matters.
But with this regime, they just need to malign one person who represents you in some way, and they then say, "ये सब खालिस्तानी है." ये
See,
सब
here's the thing.
इस्लामिस्ट है, सब लेफ्टिस्ट.
If you try to get to a place where they don't do that, that's not
हाँ
going to happen.
हाँ.
Regardless of whether you are vocal or not, they are going to demonize you because that is how they do things. That is their bread and butter.
Hmm.
So
That's the,
you might as well
yeah,
armor up and be prepared to fight the fight. जब तक fight से दूर भागते रहोगे ना, तब तक नहीं हो पाएगा.
will not.
Yeah.
We got a super chat from Somnath who said, "Love to see you together, Punit. I loved your dialogue. Now, difference between friends and troll is friends know your ideas." I said this once because I really felt it. Like there was a particular moment where there was one school group that I was a part of, and I kept leaving it. They would keep calling me back. They're all rabid bucks there. And I kept being on that group. I thought as an exercise for me to try to engage the other side, If I can't make peace with my people who I've grown up with, then I can't talk to anybody, like who's on that side of the political divide. So I kept at it just as an exercise for me of how to approach it. But then it came to a point where they were talking in the exact same language that the worst trolls talk in. And about my work. So I stopped sharing my work there long time ago because it would trigger them. But now they are sharing my videos कि ये देख इसने क्या डाला है. And then उसमें यही सब, and even the grammatical mistake are also the same practice. I'm like, you are better than that. Dude, you're a postgraduate. Dude, come on, you can't be doing this. और वही सब कि Islamist or like the most harebrained comments that you see. And when you see the exact verbiage being repeated, it's very scary because they literally become unthinking mouthpieces. These are sentences you hear on prime time news and you see trending on Twitter. और वो अभी आपके childhood दोस्त आपको बोल रहे हैं.
Yeah, that has happened to me also. Yeah.
तो yeah,
But I
so
think it
then I
has
thought
gone down a little bit. No, when was the last time this happened?
this was last year, and
Last year,
I
na?
left.
I
Yeah, I
think
left.
I'll share something weird with you. There were people
Hmm.
in my home, friends, family circle who are very vocal about this shit. Now they don't raise it, and in fact, they're actively running away from it. So that's why I say there is some disillusionment in the
Disillusionment. Yeah.
the Sanghi supporter camp also.
Hmm. And even the temple couldn't do what they thought it would. I think no, they made all the hue and cry they could, but I think in their mind what they were expecting was there'll be some
Everyone
palpable
will lose their minds, and then
yeah,
we will be kings forever. कुछ नहीं हुआ.
like there'll be some electricity in the air, like
Yeah.
something like. But वो नहीं, I don't think that happened.
They
It
tried
wasn't even
though. They
close.
tried.
Yeah.
अच्छा खासा ceremony करके सब कुछ किया. कुछ खास हुआ नहीं.
I knew it had not worked when I was there on the very same day at Chandni Chowk in Delhi, and they were carrying this DJ truck, with all the aggressive symbols that have become their fort. And नाचने वाले 4-5 लोग थे, सिक्योरिटी पर्सनल ज्यादा से नाचने वालों से.
Yeah,
हो गया है.
this was visible in the Karnataka elections का preparations also. They tried to do a lot of mandirgiri, पर वहाँ पे कुछ काम नहीं आया.
I wanted to ask you, once I remember Epify myself. So as being someone who's been into mythology, like read it also, and you also create your own mythology in a way, you can say that. Now that you completely identify as an atheist, where does purpose in life come from? Like, no, particularly on the bad days.
Purpose in life comes from, like, I'm self-motivated. I have always known that I want to write. I've always known that I like to write a certain kind of story. I know what I want to create in someone else's mind, the sense of wonder, etc. So I go for it. It was the same when I was a believer in God. I don't think that it was coming from God. Even then, I didn't think it was coming from God. But purpose का जो ना लोग जब पूछते हैं, it's usually people who think that it's usually people who do think that their purpose comes from their religion. So when you tell them that religion is invalid, they think that everything that they were getting from it is gone now. It's like salt, right? You tell people कि तुम्हें ये मतलब chips नहीं खानी चाहिए, and they think, oh my God, he's saying I can't ever experience saltiness again. No, you can. There are plenty of places where you can get salty taste. Religion is just one source of purpose. If it goes, you can replace it with other things. But they think that chips के अलावा और कहीं salt मिलेगा ही नहीं.
So that same sort of purpose of creating things continues.
Mhm.
I think in your case at least, the one thread that you were hanging by was like, what explains why humans are so much more evolved. Maybe that was the last straw that was
Mm.
left to be broken, and maybe with Sapiens and a few other books, that straw broke, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then there was no looking back after that.
yeah. Like people think that I don't have purpose in life. I'm joyless. I don't have happiness in life. Some guy said the reason you're not married is because you're an atheist. There are plenty of religious people who don't get married. In fact, your entire class of monks who call themselves brahmachari, why are they unmarried? It's got nothing to do with anything. It's just a fact that I realize that there is no reason to believe in
Yeah.
it.
How often do you read other books? Are you able to read as often as you would like to?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The main one of the main reasons I let go of my smartphone, like major smartphone addiction issues, was because I
Yeah.
wanted to read more. So yeah, I am reading more now.
And एक तो ये कि आपने वो phone ही ले लिया, which is not smart, so that's great. But other than that, because you're on the desktop, you don't sort of tend to go into as much of, say, DMs or comments on Insta,
Hmm.
because you have a fair bit of following on Insta, so there's a lot of
Hmm.
activity happening on your
Yeah.
page. So
Instagram पे तो even if I wanted to reply to DMs, I could not. Too many
hmm,
of them.
hmm,
But you also notice that my bed is right there.
हाँ.
So I just lie
So,
down and read. The computer can
okay.
be on. I can come back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means you're working long hours, no, despite not really being employed in the Indian sense of the word.
Yeah.
You're putting in the kind of hours that Narayan Murthy wants you to do.
Narad Murthy wants us to work for him.
Yeah.
I would say that if you are working for yourself and you want to work a 70-hour work week, go for it. As long as you're happy, go for it.
Yeah. Very initially, when I started the live stream, no, you made a distinction saying that I don't talk about such, I talk about rationality.
Hmm.
So, what is the difference or the gradation, if you would, for our listeners,
You can
between
be rational even if you're religious.
hmm,
You can be a person who believes in one religion and rejects that religion's teachings that are irrational or hate filled or regressive. There are plenty of people like that. There are Hindus, Muslims, Christians who reject parts of Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity. So,
no, not the loudest people, but they are there.
yes, but they are there, and I want to give them more confidence. Yeah, you can do this. It's perfectly okay to do this.
Hmm.
Religions are not patthar mein lakir. They're just things we invented. You practice it to make yourself happy. Go for it. As long as you're not violating other people's rights, believing in racist ideas, and causing religion to take over spaces that it does not belong in. I don't have a huge problem with it. I have a bit of a problem with it, but I also realize that it takes all kinds of people to make this world. एंड मैं एक दिन सुबह उठूंगा बोलूंगा आज से रिलीजन खत्म नहीं होगा ये मैं
Do you
कितनी बार
think
बोल चुका स्ट्रीम पे कि
it
इट
will
इज नॉट
ever happen? It will ever happen? Will the world ever be free of religion? It won't happen.
नो
Something
इट
else
वोंट
will
हैपन
take its place.
यस सो द गोल इज टू कीप रिलीजन वेयर इट बिलोंग्स व्हिच इज इनसाइड पीपल्स हार्ट्स it
Hmm.
makes you happy, go for it. Don't put it in government. Don't fight elections on the basis of it. Don't put
Yeah.
it in science laboratories and deny science. Don't take it to hospitals. Don't take it into policy making offices. That is where the trouble begins.
And it's getting into all of those places as
All of
well.
them. Yeah. It's like spilling over into everywhere. तो
Yeah.
हम लोग बस वो बाहर वाला एरिया साफ कर सकते हैं and that is possible.
Hmm.
Even if we
Hmm.
don't remove religion, it's okay if it remains where it is supposed to remain.
Yeah. Would you say it's possible to be scientific and religious at the same time?
Yeah, there are plenty of scientists who are religious.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
And
not
then have
necessary. It's not
hmm.
necessary.
Hmm.
But like as long as you don't confuse your religious mythology with actual science, it's okay.
Hmm. And our ISRO scientists are also like prime examples.
Yeah.
जो मुहूर्त ले रहे रॉकेट लॉन्च के
उनका तो
पहले.
मतलब कुछ प्रेशर भी है ना आजकल की जैसा पॉलिटिकल एनवायरनमेंट है कुछ चीजें बोलनी पड़ती है उनको
ये भी
विच इज
हो
नॉट अ
सकता है.
परमिशन कि हाँ बोल लिया चलेगा नहीं चलेगा बट आई
Hmm.
अंडरस्टैंड वेयर दे आर कमिंग फ्रॉम इट्स नॉट ऑलवेज बिकॉज दे बिलीव इन दैट शिट समटाइम्स दे जस्ट हैव टू जो भी फ्लेवर ऑफ आइसक्रीम राइट नाउ पॉपुलर है बीच बीच में यू हैव टू बी सीन ईटिंग इट अदरवाइज यू बिकम अ पराया क्या तू
Uh,
वनीला नहीं खाता नहीं नहीं खाता हूँ ये देख
Yeah, one of the novels you wrote was also like a futuristic dystopia, if I may use the word. Is that correct? That was a
Which one
couple
are
of
you
years
talking? You're
back.
talking about Darshan?
Yeah.
So it's not a novel, it's a short story.
It's a short story.
I
Okay.
want to expand it into a novel someday, but it's a short story right now.
And all the elements are there that it
Yeah,
could
yeah,
go
yeah.
on to something. And could you describe that for us?
Yeah.
In
So
a short
the
way.
you can actually read it on agami.com,
Agami.
aagaami.com for free.
Okay.
It's not paid anymore. You just have to
Okay.
become a member of it. And wait. Oh yeah, the first 3 chapters are free. The remaining are paid, like 10
Okay.
rupees each.
Okay.
So it's about an imaginary India in the future, which is in the year 2050, when India has been declared a Dharmic Republic of Bharat, and
Hmm.
there is a certain Sangh which is ruling the country.
Hmm.
And this era, there is also artificial intelligence, and they run temples. So people can go to temples and they can, in a virtual environment, literally talk to the gods.
Wow.
And there, our protagonist is an atheist, which is an atheist basically, and he goes to have a dialogue with the gods, and it's about what happens there. It's a
Wow.
it's basically a cyberpunk idea. If you know what cyberpunk means,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a subgenre of science fiction where
Yeah.
you're talking about a dystopian corporate owned future. So I kind of created that in India.
Very interesting. You see India going like what do you see India as in 10 years? You see us going the China way where there is like no GDP but right, but there is control totalitarian. Or do you see us going like a banana republic way, more like a Pakistan or a Sri Lanka even because of just mismanagement
Honestly, at this point, I think a lot would depend on what kind of government comes to power this year.
in this
I do
election?
think, yeah, I do think this
Hmm.
election is that key moment beyond which a lot of things will become clear once the results are out. If this
Hmm.
government comes back, I don't see us going in a good direction. If government does not come back, I still don't see us going in a good direction, but it's definitely going to be better than the alternative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's very uncertain. It could escalate in a lot of different ways,
Yeah.
and
But I like
a
to be
lot of
optimistic. I like to be optimistic. I think we all should try to be optimistic because when we are not, we actually end up helping them.
correct because they are very bombastic.
They're
Declare
bombastic
victory even
because they
before.
want
Yeah.
us to despair. It's a specific requirement. They want us to not have hope that they can be gone.
That's actually a very good point because a lot of times I get people coming up to me in shows, in the live shows and all, and they say that how do you cope with whatever is happening? And again, it comes from a place of privilege because
Yeah.
जिसका no, जिसका
तुम्हारे लाइफ पे कुछ खास फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. You're just looking
हाँ,
at the news and feeling unhappy.
yeah, yeah. But then the thing is that if your basics have been paid for, if you are that privileged and you are conscientious to some extent, it will get to you because I don't think the mind is built to take in that much stimulus,
Stress. Yeah.
both
They know
positive
this.
and negative.
Yeah, yeah. The people who create the stress, they know this. That is why they do it. The
Hmm.
specific goal is to bombard you with so much bad, to use a loose term, bad energy, that you
Hmm.
lose hope, that you think that they
Yeah,
cannot be defeated. मैंने
yeah,
कितने लोगों को देखा है, like there will be one kind of person who will say आएगा तो मोदी, right? And then
yeah,
on the other side would be a guy who does not like Modi, and he's also saying आएगा तो मोदी because he's lost all hope. And I'm saying,
yeah,
guys, you don't understand, but you've already been recruited by them. Your
huh.
hopelessness has made you a tool in their hands.
Yeah. And even if you say it sarcastically, also helping them only
Yes.
because
Yeah.
no, his every time his name gets repeated, it somehow it helps him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
my
of course,
answer,
like my biggest problem is that the people in Mumbai and Delhi, etc., who are like, oh my God, कितना बुरा चल रहा है. तुम लोग वोट तो देने जाते नहीं.
correct.
इंडिया में डेमोक्रेसी इसीलिए चल रही है क्योंकि छोटे शहरों और गांव में लोग वोट करते हैं. तुम लोगों से कुछ नहीं होगा. तुम लोग बस बैठ के सोशल मीडिया पर रहोगे
Yeah.
और जिस दिन वोटिंग का टाइम आएगा, लॉन्ग वीकेंड एंजॉय करने के लिए शहर से बाहर चले जाओगे.
Yeah.
वोट करो और लोगों सबको बोलो वोट कर देखो.
Yeah.
सही सही कारणों के लिए वोट करने को बोलो.
And that's the one clear participation you have every 5 years. You fucking
Hmm.
make it a point to do it, no? But maybe it also comes from a place of ego कि मेरा एक वोट से क्या ये हो जाएगा?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you know it's like either I'll cause a revolution or I'll do nothing.
Hmm.
No, because in your
Nirvana fallacy.
mind, हाँ.
Hmm.
And my reply to them is that even to feel that the onus of change lies on your shoulder also is coming from a place of ego only at some place. So you do your small bit, no?
Hmm.
And then it will add up somewhere.
Yeah,
So
it goes. It's either you overestimate yourself or you underestimate yourself. There's no middle ground. You have a duty, go do it. Do it for the right reasons, do the right thing. And then if something goes wrong, you at least have the right to complain.
correct.
Otherwise, you don't.
You
Otherwise,
don't,
just,
yeah.
just sit at home and be quiet.
Yeah, order your soil artisans. Shut up.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up the stream, we'll take a few questions from the chat. There are
Sure.
300 people watching us right now. Thank you for coming in, guys. Do like the stream if you haven't already. All this the stuff we talked about, the links are there in the chat and in the description. We'll just go through a few of the questions before we let Vimo go. One question was that how do you explain the popularity of people like क्या Sanjay, Sai Deepak, and Ranganathan, who seem to be talking rationally, but in the end they help the theocracy only.
I don't even think they talk rationally.
They
put on the
be.
appearance of a rational person,
Yeah.
but the arguments, if you just dissect them even a little bit, you find that it is coming from a place of privilege. It's coming from a place of religious privilege, caste privilege, social, financial privilege. There is, I have said this before. I've said this before, but there is very little intellectual muscle on that side.
Yeah.
That is why they attach themselves to Anand Ranganathan of all people. मतलब इतना अभाव है इंटेलेक्चुअल होगा नहीं, ये चलेगा, कोट पहनता है, चश्मा पहनता है, बैकग्राउंड में 4 किताबें हैं, ये चलेगा हमको.
But there's also this Goldilocks zone of just the right level of mediocrity.
Yeah. That is so true.
Maybe if they had somebody who was better than him, it wouldn't work also for their audience.
And it doesn't. Plenty of people are unhappy with them also because they're like, there have been people who are like, I thought I could make a difference within the RSS, but I can't because apparently इस लेवल के ऊपर नहीं चलता, इस लेवल के नीचे नहीं चलता, यही लेवल चलता है बस.
Yeah. But I think for a mass organization, it will always be in mediocre only. One very horror story I heard was the doctor couple had come to one of my shows, and they said that we've driven down 8 hours just to come and tell you that thank you for talking about rationality. And I said I do, but it's not even like the main sort of vocal thing. But it still comes out because the lack of it everywhere else. In contrast, it comes out.
Yeah.
And he said, we say that because we are in a top institution, and every month, what has been happening is one RSS uncle comes and talks to us, who has no qualification. He's just one of the uncles who is Karyakarta for life. This is now his pension. Like in a way, he's getting rewarded for his years of selfless service. And he'll come and talk some nonsense to medical students about ये झाड़ का पूजा करने का, इसका ये करने का, and they have to listen to it. Attendance is compulsory, and they say that the speaker himself is benign, like he's not scary. There'll be a guy from the party who comes along. He's the scary guy because he's staring at everybody like a hawk, like who is agreeing, not agreeing. And even for the teachers, it's compulsory right now, but we don't go. But we are scared of when it will become compulsory for us also. So you see the amount of infiltration down to institutional level where you have no business being there.
So the problem with this is you cannot affect the minds of people through force. You can affect some minds. पर अगर वैसा होता ना तो हम लोग तो जिंदगी भर नेहरू के बारे में अच्छी चीजें पढ़े हैं. तो why do many people still hate him today? It's because स्कूल में तुमको जो चीज पढ़ाई जाती है तुम इसलिए नहीं पढ़ते क्योंकि तुमको इंटरेस्ट है, इसलिए पढ़ते हो क्योंकि अगर नहीं पढ़ोगे तो फेल हो जाओगे. सो उस टाइप के कल्चर में अगर ये इन्फ्लुएंस करने की कोशिश करेंगे ना, श्योर पीपल विल सिट, पीपल विल लिसन, इवेंचुअली दे गेट बोर्ड एंड देन दे वोंट बी अलाउड टू लीव, एंड देन द hesitation and the frustration will start rising, which is what is happening with this government, because for 10 years they have literally forced their ideas down everyone's throats, and even the people who are happy to swallow it at some point are like, yaar roz dalia kaun khayega? Like even if it is your favorite food, you don't want to eat it every day.
You need a new flavor of hate today.
Yeah. And that it's done. और क्या करेंगे? They ले दे के वही 4-5 फटे हुए ढोल है उनके पास.
Yeah.
उसके अलावा क्या बजा रहे हैं ये लोग? There is no innovation happening there.
Hmm.
They undertook an infiltration of academic institution. और वहां पे क्या किया जाके? What new stuff have they done? They don't
वो
have anything to offer.
वो है ना, थाली बजा के कोरोना मरता है, उसका पेपर आया वापस
क्या
आज।
कुछ भी like it is exciting on a maybe day to day basis, but beyond a point it stops getting interesting. कितना करेगा कोई?
So
This is a self defeating strategy. It's not going to work.
does that mean that no matter how big a propaganda machinery you have, you may establish control physically over a population, but your end goal of winning them over completely hearts and mind will never happen
Never happen.
because it is forced. Like
Yeah.
that is the curse of the dictator. That even if he wins, he rules over a dead population.
Yeah.
And what is the fun in that?
Yep.
One thing I wanted to ask you was because you've been into debunking hoaxes and conspiracy theories, and I used to follow a lot of this when I was young, as in the whole UFO thing, the whole Fox Mulder truth is out there, wala thing, and Loch Ness monster, whatever, and Bermuda Triangle, you name it.
Hmm.
This is the pre-internet age, when we used to read books bought from Fountain in Mumbai, second-hand books. And I realized that no, what you're trying to look at in conspiracy theories is you want the reality which is not this, because the world cannot be this. This is
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
banal, too boring, too oppressive. So if there are aliens, what it means is that all bets are off. So all my
Yeah.
failures in life don't matter anymore.
Yes.
And so it's never really specific कि मुझे यही alien वाला. It's just that you want something more. There has to be something more to life.
Hmm.
You think that's true for a lot of people, or that's just my experience? Because
I think it
you've
may be
been
true for a lot of people, but not for everyone. Because if that thing about if that magical claim is true, then all bets are off is not
uh,
always the case. Because a lot of times we will actually willingly embrace a very restrictive version of reality, like religions, for example.
hmm,
Right? People willingly
hmm,
embrace the possibility that they will be judged after death, right? And go to hell or heaven,
yeah,
whatever their version of heaven may be. So
yeah,
it's not always like I think if genuinely someone wants to be in a world where all bets are off, be a nihilist because nothing matters there,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
No good deed matters, no bad deed matters, nothing matters. Live your life to your satisfaction and then die.
hmm. Because the kind of interest I still see, in lizard people, for example, in the West,
Hmm.
is there has to be a better explanation than just curiosity and not trusting the government.
It's also a
This
self-aggrandizement. Like, कि मैं smart हूँ, तुम लोग को नहीं पता.
ah,
I think that
I'm in the
has,
know.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in the
yeah.
know.
I and a few people who I hang out with, we only know the truth. Everyone else is a sheep.
Our tinfoil hat club
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is.
I think that's a better explainer of it. Like, people
Ah,
get into it because they want to feel that they are smart. And obviously, the reason they need to feel that is because they're not smart. And they know it.
yeah, otherwise they wouldn't need this kind of validation.
Yeah. I mean, smart people don't feel the need to always say that I'm smart, you're stupid.
Yeah, correct. A super chat has come in simply to say कि Jamie सो गया होगा. Jamie, if you're still there, before we end, any question that we should take from the chat,
एक सुपर चैट अपन मिस कर रहे हैं, कोई एक बात देख लो।
बताओ क्या नाम बताओ और क्या
बिली
क्वेश्चन.
गोल्डबर्ग जी ने पूछा है।
वो मैंने
वो
देख
देख
लिया
चुके
भाई.
देख चुके हैं.
क्या
अच्छा।
तुम सो ही रहे हो बीच
I
में
think
बम.
अरे अरे
क्या है? तू बम्बल घुमा रहा है बीच.
I think he takes breaks. He's
Yeah, yeah.
into he's building his reading habit. He takes breaks, sits on the bed and reads a book.
This, I mean, you're giving him too much credit. वो बम्बल ही स्वाइप कर रहा है. डॉक्टर बोरोडिन हुंसडीकर, ये क्या है? ये ब्रांड का नाम है क्या? डॉक्टर. Okay, Dr. Borodin has sent super chat. Thank you. There's nothing written, but it's just there. Thank you. All right. Any questions that we should take, Jimmy? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
नहीं नहीं, आज का हो गया।
घंटा तुमने कुछ देखा ही नहीं है. Shubhas is asking, do you think rationality and rational discourse at large suffers a lot of backlash, partly due to apparent condescendence of the contemporary front runners of this movement. For
It
example,
can, yeah,
Neil,
yeah, yeah. I
Neil
think that's a valid
deGrasse.
point. I think that's a valid
Hmm.
point.
Hmm.
If you are going like sometimes people will ask me, अच्छा तुम इस धर्म के बारे में ये claim के बारे में क्यों नहीं बनाते? So basically what they want is they want me to say bad words for a figure that someone respects. And my point is
Hmm.
that that is not my goal. My goal is to change someone's mind. And if I start the conversation by abuse or insults, is that person coming close to me or is he moving away from me?
Yeah.
So a lot of people actually make things worse with their approach. And I think that's a valid criticism. But that does not apply to everyone because some people do have good reason to be angry. Like, there are ex-Muslims, ex-Hindus, Dalit, Bahujan, Adivasi people who are angry. And
Yeah.
I don't blame them for being angry because they have suffered at the hands of religion. But
Yeah.
that does not mean that everyone who's, being insulting towards religious people is doing it for valid reasons.
Yeah, you think even that comes from the same place that we spoke about a little while back, that people who believe in conspiracy theories, they want to feel better than everybody else. You think
There
that's
are,
all?
yeah, yeah. There are some atheists who are, you know, atheists are smart, so religious people are stupid. Ha ha ha. No,
Huh.
that's got nothing to do with intelligence.
Because no, you've been say just lucky enough for lack of a better word to have a life trajectory that led you to a place where you could think this way, and a lot of
Hmm.
people haven't had that bandwidth, or the
Yeah,
opportunity in
and
their
you should
life
be
to
kind to
analyze.
them. You should be
Should be
you
kind
should
to
be
them. Yeah.
empathetic towards them so that one day they also can break from the shackles of what you broke out of.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if it just becomes an instrument of saying कि हाँ मुझे पता है तुझे नहीं पता ha ha ha,
It's so,
then
yeah.
you're not solving anything.
It's a juvenile actually.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
that is right there. Did you ever have a belief in an afterlife even before?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was
I
it
don't
easy to
miss
let
it.
go of it? You
I
don't
didn't
miss.
miss it much. It wasn't like I thought that maybe something happens after I die, but
Hmm.
when I stopped believing, it just went away. It wasn't as if my life hinged on it. Okay, so now there's nothing. Okay.
In psychology, there's a concept called immortality project.
Mm-hmm.
So kings and strong men, they build monuments so that they'll be remembered after they're gone. Civilians just have children because that's the easiest and most
Mm-hmm.
direct way. And artists tend to do it instead through what they know,
Their work, huh?
their work.
Mm.
Do you feel that sort of inclination to
Oh
leave
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
behind? Yeah.
yeah. I hope that after I die, hundreds of years after I die, some child somewhere in the library finds a book written by me.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. Yeah, I
So
think that's a
so
great way of having an afterlife.
yeah. So that feeling remains, no, of having some not, let's not say impact, but some presence in the world after
Mm.
you're gone, and that need not be religious in nature.
Yeah, yeah. But again, that's also not something everyone has. Some people don't care. Like
You think?
I do, and
Huh.
I think you might also.
Yeah.
But not everyone does. No,
Y-
I know
y-
religious people who have no need of being alive. Like they think that they will be alive, but they don't think if you took it away from them, they won't mind very much.
नो, बट उनका तो अलग ही ना बिलीफ, उनका अप्रेजल होगा बाद में और फिर
Ah,
उनको
ah.
उनको प्लॉट मिलेगा कर्जत में ऊपर तो so they are hinging on to that. But
Ah.
is it possible for someone to live completely without caring about having a footprint after you're gone? Like, no,
I think, yeah,
you're dead and then flatline, nothing else after
yeah,
that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a book by Christopher Hitchens called Mortality. He was an atheist, right? A
Yeah.
very well known atheist. He
Yeah.
died of cancer. When he
Yeah.
found out, he wrote the book after he found out that he has cancer. It's a very short book, very short. It's called
Okay.
Mortality. It's about dealing with death as an atheist. You
Oh,
should read
great.
it. Yeah.
Oh, great. I did not know about this one. Mortality. And this is
It's not
after he
one of
got
his more
diagnosed.
famous books. It's
Sure.
more like a long essay.
Yeah. And this is after he got diagnosed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. One more reading recommendation for you guys. All right. I think it's a somber enough note to end today's live on. चैट में अलग ही चल रहा है. चैट में लोग जेमी को बोल रहे हैं कि फ्रूट निंजा पता कर क्या होता है नया. क्या है भाई फ्रूट निंजा
फ्रूट
इसमें?
निंजा गेम है ना?
हाँ,
हाँ।
गेम तो है, बट ये कोई अलग चल रहा है इनका.
अरे वो बोल रहे मैं बम्बल पे फ्रूट निंजा खेलता हूँ, ऐसा
बम
स्वाइप करते करते।
बम्बल, इज इट बम्बल अ डेटिंग ऐप?
या
हाँ हाँ।
तो वहां पे
उस
फ्रूट
पे
निंजा कैसे खेलते हो?
अरे वो स्वाइप करते तो ऐसा फ्रूट निंजा जैसा होता है ना, एक्शन वैसा।
ओके ओके, अच्छा, आई हैव नो आइडिया.
Oh shit! I thought Fruit Ninja is a new euphemism for people who cut themselves. But anyway, that's too dark for a Wednesday or a Thursday, whatever.
Thursday.
Thursday, shit! Unemployment is getting to me.
I only
Uh,
remember because I had a live stream on Wednesday and today is Thursday, the day after.
do you ever take a break? Like, being self-employed, one thing I noticed is you can never completely take a day off because you
No,
always feel
with
like,
live streams, I told you that the
Hmm,
community feeling is very strong. So if I am not feeling well someday or I'm traveling, I tell people and they say, yeah, it's okay, take care of yourselves.
but do you take vacations now, like a
Yeah, I
week
do,
off?
I do, I do.
Yeah,
Mm.
completely off in
But
the
I'm
grid.
not completely, right? I have my phone with me, so I keep posting content. I went and stayed at my relative's place for 2 months and I was making reels. उनके छत पे जाता था, वीडियो बनाता था, नीचे आ जाता था बस.
Asha, that was your relative's place.
Yeah.
Nice. Any parting thoughts you want to leave our readers with? It could be about what we discussed today. Anything that you want to round off that we discussed,
No, I think I
or
shared all my
or
thoughts, but
yeah, or
go
anything
subscribe
about
to my
your
YouTube channel.
ha yeah, anything about your work. So one is the channel जो इस description में ही है, that is his main channel. There's also a Vimo live channel which is
Hmm.
separate. उसका भी हम link यहाँ पे डाल देते हैं chat में. डाल दो ना जेमी, मैं डाल देता हूँ. So for people who are into long form content, who are into podcasts and who are into live, do look it up. I'll share it here
Yeah,
my
I
side.
go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. and we talk about atheism and people come and try to prove their religious views and we have a debate. It's a fun, polite conversations sometimes.
अच्छा.
Yeah.
So you invite them on to, like, they talk, or it's only in the chat?
No, they talk. I invite them on screen and sometimes it goes on for as much as like single conversation goes on for 40 minutes or something.
Ooh,
Yeah.
intense. Link I sent here. Rest of his work you'll find quite easily if you follow him on Instagram. That link
Hmm.
is in the description. Thank you, dude, very much for being with us.
Thanks, man. My pleasure.
Yep, no, thank you. Just to remind people what I said earlier, I'll be in Ahmedabad this weekend for a show. आइएगा. उसके बाद बैंगलोर और दिल्ली एक ऑनलाइन शो भी है, उसका भी लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में, जो 25 को हो रहा है, आईपीएल के एक दिन पहले. नहीं, आईपीएल के एक दिन पहले मैं पुणे में हूँ, आईपीएल के दिन दोपहर को है. बिकॉज एट वन पॉइंट आई यूज्ड टू फील कि आई कैन डू अ शो ऑन एनी डे, इवन वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल. बट लास्ट कपल ऑफ इयर्स आईपीएल टेकन ओवर कंप्लीटली, क्योंकि आपने ओपीएम को फ्री कर दिया. अब तो अब कोई बचने नहीं वाला इससे. तो एक लाइव शो है 26 को ऑनलाइन, उसमें आप आ सकते हो. दैट्स इट फ्रॉम अस. थैंक यू वेरी मच गाइस. आई विल सी यू नेक्स्ट वीक probably. Till then, take care, keep the hope alive, and fucking vote. Can't stress this
Yep.
enough. Yep.
Fucking vote.
Yeah. All right, good night.
Good night.
जेमी, जिंदा हो तो बंद कर दो स्ट्रीम, सो
हाँ
गए क्या
करके
वापस?